All right. I'm up and running. Hopefully the sound is louder this time. Jeez. I do this whole 2-hour recording and the sound is jacked. But yeah, hopefully it's better this time. All right. Get everything set up back again. One day I'll be like the cool kids and have all the things. All right. Storyline stuff. Hopefully the sound is good. Let me... Where is all my stuff? Am I live? I think I'm live. Bear with me. All right. I think that's all as good as it's going to get. All right, let's get started. Or pick back up. Welcome to the stream. Riff Santos. Looks like you're lurking. All right. So storyline stuff. So when you're mining, I want to have a notification toast the first time you hit 50 minerals. So if state minerals equals 50 and harvesters.length equals 0, I want to say enough minerals gathered to build harvester. And let's make sure that works. Start mining. I want the toast notification to be green. And I guess I don't want that specifically there. Where do I want this? 4X. 4X is I guess a genre or term. 4X RPG or RTS. So like Sins of a Solar Empire is an example. Stellaris would be an example of a 4X. Civilization has been considered 4X. But yeah, that's what the term 4X means. And I guess large scale, right? So something of a I guess total annihilation would also be considered 4X. But yeah, it's a genre of games. Sins of a Solar Empire is my favorite 4X. All right, enough minerals gathered to build harvester. And I have a destination reached. So, yeah, this is an interesting question. Welcome back, by the way. Tangji, welcome back. All right, so return minerals. I need to call that deliver minerals. And what I want to do is have a delivered minerals count. And then instead of setting state.minerals, I want to set probe delivered minerals and add one to that. So let's see if this works correctly. And I'm working on storyline, help text, those kind of things. So calc movement. Oh, I put that on the wrong thing. So tick function, calc story, calc delivered minerals. And I want to say if delivered minerals is greater than 0, delivered minerals mine equals 1, stat.minerals plus equals 1. So that'll be my synchronization point. And then with this in place, what do I want to do here? It's the same thing here. I want to, when I go to mine, I want it to go into the delivered minerals. Cool. So now now the notification should be synchronized. And I can do additional notifications with harvesters in play too. Cool. So enough minerals to gathered for that. So if we say and so if the minerals is set to 150, where's my engineering module? Builder open engineering module. Why didn't that show up? Yeah. Here you go. Why isn't builder open engineering module showing up? Everything, I swear, when code navigation breaks, it's just extremely painful. So comms module was how much? 500. Okay, let's try this again. Harvester costs 50 minerals to build. 500. I'm going to start mining. All right, so delivering minerals. There we go. All right, so we should get a notification about RAM. Comms module will be 500. Yep. less than equal to 10. All right, so we should get a notification about the RAM. Build a few more harvesters. Upgrade RAM. Harvester notification again. Yep. So less than 10 for harvesters. Comms notifications should come up next. All right, modules, comms module installed. Minerals depleted, need to make contact with the earth. Let me change that. Because I don't need that notification anymore. Don't need this. So when I move, it should, yep. Earth is requesting contact, move to Earth. Mission control, this is Sasha. Do you read? What's the status of Earth? Things are getting bad down here. You need to find us a new home. We're sending you blueprints for a warp drive module. Use the blueprints to build the warp drive module. And then story progression. Calc story. Scan Earth. So progress story. All right, no response. Try again later when you try to ping Earth. Probably don't need the progress story function. Call that ping Earth. No response. Try again later. Let me look at intro completed at elapsed time. So yeah, just trying to think of storyline elements, have some means of urgency within trying to get the warp drive, which is 5,000 minerals. $10 of playtime to get to that point, I don't think is terrible. I'll do a quick playthrough after I get this working. All right, so let's see how this plays. Elapsed time on 308. Yeah, don't want to present that anymore. All right, you try to mine. Celestial body does not have any minerals. Move to asteroid belt. You go to move. Start mining minerals. The mining of the minerals could probably be faster. Or maybe just delivery of the minerals. What do I have it set to right now? 15 milliseconds or 15 frames. Let's set it to 10. And then you'll stop getting notifications of the harvesters once you hit 10. Then it's up to you to keep track of that. Not enough RAM. Yep. Engineering module comes online. Good. Upgrade RAM. So now we're still at 8 harvesters, so we still should get notifications on the harvesters. What do most people use for designing UI in DragonRuby? That's a good question. For UI stuff, I just do it live. Is there like an example that you're thinking of? Because yeah, like the UI that I'm putting together, I just throw something onto the screen, see if I like it, and then build on top of that. I can kind of explain how I did this menu system if that's something that's interesting, but like UI is tricky. You got to make sure everything's legible on like all the platforms and things like that. I'm sure you know of. I beat the dead horse of layout.rect. So comms module request should be coming up. Yep, enough minerals to build comms module. Current location Mars. Let me do this final playtesting and then I'll look at chat. Sorry. Notificate Earth is requesting contact to move to Earth. You make your move to the Earth. Use comms to ping Earth. Do you read? What's the status on Earth? Things are getting bad down here. You need to find us a new home. We're sending you blueprints for the warp drive. All right, so now if I move, so in 60 seconds, there should be a new communication. Does DragonRuby not have a built-in button object, for example? We've talked about this in the past. I've had this conversation in the past before. Let me bring it up. It's worth talking about, I think. All right, so button primitive. So yeah, just to talk through this. Okay, so button object. So here is a. Let me move the chat over here. All right, so button object. Okay, here's a button. So you've got arc state buttons. I created 2 buttons. Button 1 has a location, callback, and text. And here's button 2. So during the tick function, I see if I get the hover button based on the mouse. And if there's a hover button and the mouse is clicked, I call its callback. Right? So it puts button 1 or puts button 2. And then I render the buttons and render hovering. So that's your button object, let's say. And now the question is, okay, let's say we build this button object into DragonRuby. All right, well, how the hell am I going to use that to create buttons that look like this? With easing, hover effects on animation for hover effects, alphas and transparencies, layout and easing based on, size and radial. So what properties would have to be placed to get that kind of effect? Same thing with clicking. Like anywhere I click, you get a nice little ripple effect for the click events. So, okay, I have a check mark, button object built in. Okay, what can you do with it? The simplest button, has this kind of setup. You define your buttons, check for hovering, call this callback when the button is clicked. You render your buttons. What if you want to use a sprite to render your buttons? What if you want your hover effect to be the outline of the sprite instead of, just like a regular border? This built-in button object doesn't do any of that. And so the idea comes, well, maybe we can expand the button object to provide all these different capabilities. But now you got to learn the damn thing. And it still might not do exactly what you want it to do. So it's like a trivial, simple button object is create your button, check if the button's hovered, and then render it. And it's like it's pretty straightforward to put together. And this foundation is something that you can build upon. So the philosophy of DragonRuby is to make it simple to make your own game from scratch. And the thing is that I hear that like from scratch or roll your own, but like we look at engines with a button object built in, and how many properties do they have? Is there an engine that you're familiar with that you use as a corollary? Like how many properties do I need on the Godot? Okay, so like a Godot button. Think of all the properties that exist on a Godot button, and then think about this setup that I have here, where I've got easing, I've got hover animations for each one of the buttons, transitions within the menus themselves, notifications that pop up. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that Godot's button thingy could potentially work with these. Maybe. But now the next thing is, okay, well, is this button controller compatible? Can you navigate? How do you set up button navigation with the controller? Instead of using an animation system, you script it. Yeah, and my scripting logic is pretty straightforward. So like for my menu items, so if I go to my probe, so when I show a menu item, so here's my menu prefab. Basically, I look at if I only show the specific menu prefab if the action or the transition to the menu was its previous action or the current one. If it was the previous action, then I'm scaling out. Otherwise, I'm zooming in. But I mean, this is my button prefab. I have this like circle sprite that I use. I center the title within the button, and then as far as its size and percentage in alpha, it's based on smooth stop duration for half a second, and that gives you this functionality here, right? So yes, I hear like from scratch, but the challenge that I have and the struggle that I have is this air quotes from scratch implementation is probably still less code than with all the Godot stuff built in. And therein lies the rub. So for modules, so I've got, construction, warp drive, and all these module items. Let's go to my modules menu items. So modules menu items, I have. So I'm going to throw in 2 more buttons. Foo. And bar. Bar with 2 R's. Okay, I save. Now I close, go to modules. Where'd it go? Oh, I put it inside of comms. Fine, we'll go to comms. All right, there's my foo and bar buttons. And the spacing of the buttons automatically handled based on the number of buttons and its computations there. So if I go back to module menu items, this one. All right, we'll add foo and bar in there. There we go. It's handled. So like from scratch it's a tricky term, because if you want to make something with this kind of complexity in Godot, you're making it from scratch. The baked in stuff's not going to help you. And if it does, it's going to end up being as much code as if you were to create it from scratch. So that's the tricky part. Let me one more thing to talk about would be cross-platform scroll view DragonRuby. So this is a scroll view inside of the Ensign, which is a commercial game that I've released. So it's mobile compatible, controller compatible, mouse compatible, touch, and you'll see that. So I've got what's it called? Acceleration on the scrolls. If you hold and hold and click and move, you see that acceleration. Here I'm using the controller analog. When you go into controller mode, the scroll up and scroll down buttons automatically show up. You can use the right analog to scroll, which has acceleration built in also. Right? And then your touch controls. And touch, it feels native, right? It feels exactly how you would expect a scroll view to work on a touch screen. And I guarantee you, the moment you Google scroll view touch for Godot, you're going to see message forums on message forums and about people trying to hack it in to make it work. And it's like, okay, if you're going to have a built-in thing, it's got to work. Otherwise, I'm building it from scratch, and then it's no different than if you did it from scratch in the first place. So, anyways, and Rant on that aspect of it. But yeah, the general philosophy is there's a level of simplicity with working with DragonRuby's primitives, and then the expressivity of Ruby as the language itself. It's almost cheating. It's almost cheating. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah, and if you've got examples of buttons or like UIs that you've created, we can like kind of reverse engineer it or like look through it and see how you would construct something like this, and how much work it was to get it working in another engine. But what I've generally found is that, yeah, trivially it works. Like, we could have a button control that lets you do a stupid rectangle with text inside of it, but anything non-trivial, anything that has to work with the gamepad, touch, desktop, mouse, keyboard navigation, gamepad navigation, anything with that level of coverage, you're rolling your own stuff at that point. All right, so we've got that, and now I should be able to build my warp drive. Okay, so warp drive is installed, and when the warp drive is installed, let me move to, so I'm already on Earth. Yeah, mission control, how goes it? Making progress, saving up for the warp drive, no response, try again. All right, so now that I have the warp drive, RenPy does a lot of the virtual novel work for you. I don't know if you looked at Forked, but there's a channel called Open OSS Forked, and it's really nice. There's a lot of good stuff in there. AKZ on Discord built a game called So I Bought a Chainsaw, a little chainsaw, and it's built on it's built on Forked, and so the RenPy API there's some really nice facets of having like baked in controls for a specific vertical, like visual novels, having baked in like multiple choice controls, like the profile with like text dialogue and things like that, and have those things just work because it fits a very specific mold, makes total sense. But for like a generalized, engine of sorts, the baked in stuff has to be fucking rock solid, right? If it isn't, if an engine says we are cross-platform and we support all these things and look at all these things that are baked in, and you're gonna say I'm cross-platform and then give me a scroll view that doesn't work with touch, gamepad, and desktop, it's it makes me angry. It's infuriating because you're setting up the dev for failure. They're spending all this time learning the facilities of the control only to find that it doesn't work. And it's just, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. Yeah. The biggest challenge is that, marketing is a thing, right? You say when someone says we're cross-platform, look at all this cool stuff we built in, and here's a demo of how you can just drag and drop a button onto the screen. It's like, okay, but does it actually work long term, or are you painting me into a corner? And usually you're being painted into a corner. So if you have the warp drive module and warp warp drive storyline I guess. What are some locations? So solar. So there's Epsilon Eridani. How far is Epsilon Eridani? Does Epsilon originally have any habitable planets? Are there discovered planets? Also known as Igar. Cool. .5 light years from Earth. And then does Alpha Centauri? Does Alpha Centauri have planets? Are there any planets on Alpha Centauri? Proxima Centauri has 2 confirmed planets. All right, so Epsilon Eridani would be the place. And then... So what is Igar? It's a gas giant. Ah. Fine, we'll make it up. It's fine, we'll make it up. All right, so at that point we'll say... All right, so... All right, so mission control... All right. How's warp drive? Please advise. Epsilon Eridani. All right, let's see if this works. Mission control, warp drive is online. Please advise. Recommendation is to head to Epsilon Eridani. We're running out of food down here, though. We need you to build us some solar farms. Sending blueprints. Sending blueprints. Sending blueprints. Nice. All right, and then this would be... Has solar farm module blueprints? Sure. These storyline things are always tricky. Like, they're just kind of sprinkled in everywhere. I can't think of like a really nice system as opposed to like having these like specific checkpoints. Shit. How did I do this? Callback. Do end. Let's try this again. Cool. So that worked. And now, if I go to modules, so these are the modules that I have right now. And if I go to module menu items, and so I've got this like open warp drive menu item, and I think what I do there, there is something jacked up with my function lookup. Let me try restarting. Probe. Module menu items. Oh, that's why, because it's not a function. It's just a little stupid thing that I wrote in line. Okay, and then this one needs to be called, what do I call it? Solar farms? Space farms? Solar farms. I guess I don't want to call it solar farms because it could be food, water, heat, electricity, infrastructure. Typing. There we go. Builder open, infrastructure module. And we'll say So infrastructure blueprints. Infrastructure module. All right, so let's try this again. We're going to go to modules, comms, ping earth. Please advise. Sending blueprints. And then we want to put that menu item and have it auto size and rescale and everything. Isn't that fancy? Okay, so infrastructure module, this calls an exception. Yep. And this is because we don't have it in the menu lookup. And its items method. And then its dismiss will be the mains module. So warp drive module, define the infrastructure. And I guess here I'm kind of showing what it's like to create a new menu item, right? So I define the menu lookup, I define the button, the menu lookup, and then the things. Build solar farm. Close. And let's see if this works. All right, calc current menu. It's not a symbol. Infrastructure module menu items. So let's set game.firstprobe.action to orbiting. Orbiting. There we go. So we're back to orbiting. Modules. There's my infra. And on line 79. So menu items. Builder open. So that looks correct. Let me see what my probe action is. Game.firstprobe. Infrastructure module menu. Okay, so that's correct. So calc current menu. All right, so we have our menu lookup. What is our menu lookup set to? Infrastructure module menu. And then for that module menu, we're looking at the menu items. Which are these two menu items. So let me do, just for debugging, menu method. If not, self.respond to. Let's see what that does. Set it back to orbiting, modules, warp drive works, comms works, infrastructure. Line 81. Item method. It's got to be item. Oh, there's my problem. It's items method. So what I want to say is, if not, menu dot items method raise. So then we get the items method, and then we want to check if it responds to that. So it's like, okay, where's our infrastructure menu? So let's go to our prefab. Our menu prefab. We have our warp drive menu prefab, and we need our infrastructure. Infrastructure. And then this needs to be called infrastructure module. Solar farm. And close. So we have comms, ping earth, no response. The warp drive, if they click that without having the space farms, then yeah, some kind of error notification saying that some number of space farms have to be created. So for solar farm, okay, that's the to-do for the solar farm. I think I have a harvester, or I build harvester, so let's do build a solar farm. And what does build harvester do? Something like that. All right, so state.minerals. So solar farm. It's going to be more minerals, less than the warp drive, more than the warp drive. Who knows? I have no idea. How many minerals? So I've got, let's see, 11 harvesters. RAM is 15. Harvesters is 11. And minerals should be 0. So let's go to our repl. So we'll say $game, game.firstprobe, harvesters.clear. This will remove all of our harvesters. Cool. We'll just set it to a new game. All right. We're a new game. Let's start with, well, we can just do a reset. So first thing we want to do is reset. And then after we reset, we want to set our RAM Game dot first probe. Let's start with this. Make sure that this is initialized. Cool. That's fine. So after half a second, we want to get our probe, which is 5. Good. So we want to give it time to reset, and then after the reset occurs, we'll set our RAM to 15. Okay, RAM is set. And then 11 dot times do so build harvester. So we want how many minerals before we can build harvesters? Math. 500 minerals? Well, I could just set it to 50 each time. All right, so we got our harvesters going. And then after that, we want to set, let's see where that gives us. So modules, comms, I need 500 for that. Engineering needs to be purchased. We'll set to 50. Builder open. We'll just blindly build it for now. Game.first probe. Build the engineering module. Cool. And then we want to build our comms next. I guess I can just call builder open. Okay, comms module, ping earth. Do you read? There's our warp drive, which requires 5,000 minerals. And then we want to set our minerals to 5,000. Okay. And so let's do God mode underscore go to warp drive. RAM equals 15. Eleven times state build harvester. state minerals, build or open engineering module, build or open comms module, and then set the minerals to 5,000. So now I should be able to do first probe dot God mode, go to warp drive. Helps if I save the file. Let's try again. There we go. Ping Earth. Warp drive installed. So now if I perform a move, we should get a notification saying that Earth is trying to contact us. Yep, Earth is requesting contact. Go back to Earth. Comms module, ping Earth. Warp drive is online, please advise. Recommendation is to head to Epsilon or Ridney. We're running out of food. We need you to build us some solar farms. Sending blueprints. All right. Infrastructure, 5,000. 5,000 minerals, and that needs to be called infrastructure. That's one hell of a name. Shit. Construction, build more harvesters, need more RAM. Build more harvesters. $2,000 for infrastructure. Earth is requesting contact. Why? What the hell are you trying to say to me? What contact do you have? Comms, ping Earth. Oh yeah, so that's for the warp drive continuity stuff. Storyline. Okay. And then the solar farm would be the next thing that needs to be built. And then solar farms would be like 1,000 a piece or something. All right. So we added the God mode function, which is good. Let's go to storyline. Let's go to warp drive. Where's our warp function? build or open warp drive. Select warp drive. And what we want to say here is if do I want to create another object for solar farms? Probably. Yeah. I fixed the error. All right, so if solar farms dot length equals 0, I want to do what? Add a storyline. We're not using story progression, calc story. I call it current story items. Such a horrible name. All right. So close, warp drive, warp. Warp. Why are you bitching at me? Line 581. Make sure that's an array. All right, and then I want to toast. So now if I go to comms, ping earth, can't convert symbol to integer. Your face can't convert symbol to integer. Let's go to our repl. Comms module installed. Ping Earth. Yep. All right, we've got our warp drive. And our current storyline needs to be set. All right, shouldn't leave yet. Good. So now if I go to move, there should be a notification about, yep, Earth is requesting contact. Good. Go back to Earth. Comms module. Infrastructure module needs 5,000. I think I set that to 2,000, right? Yeah. Go to warp drive. Shouldn't leave yet. So now if I move, there should be a notification about, yep, Earth is requesting contact. Go back to Earth. And then there should be a notification. Yep, that was about the warp drive because I fast forwarded. Now if I try to leave, shouldn't leave yet. I try to move again. Yep, Earth is requesting contact. Go back to Earth. Ping Earth. Line 340. Forgot to set the text. Let's clear that out. Current story items will be this. All right, got to expand on this feedback loop with this God mode thing. Comms ping Earth. Yep, that's good. Warp drive's installed. And we want to set our infrastructure, or we want to set in our God mode. Yeah, I think that's fine. I have a ping Earth function, right? Yep. Do I have a comms module? Yep, I have one of those. Builder open comms module. And then let me see if I can ping Earth from this. So reset, comms module installed, good. Game.first probe, ping Earth. That didn't work. Oh, probe. So do you read? I thought I fixed that in string RB. Because wrapped lines should no longer do a recursive call. Yeah, it doesn't. Glad you got your comms module up and running. Okay, so that's good. And then we want to build or open. Build or open warp drive module. So def God mode to infrastructure. Yeah, that's good. And how many storyline elements are there? Why is there an exception? I'm struggling today. There's an exception. It's like, it's one of those exceptions where it's like at the very end of the goddamn file. Ah, right here. All right. God mode, warp drive. After 30 seconds, I want to ping Earth. Or 30 milliseconds, I want to ping Earth. Current storyline item. I need to be here. Try again. All right. And I want to say current storyline items dot length. Kind of doing some automation scripting, I guess. speed up the process to where I'm up to this point in the game. And I want to... Do I want to ping Earth twice? Maybe. Let's see if this gets us where I want. I think that gets us where I want. Nails painted brown. How's it going? I'm doing some, I guess, UI automation, sort of, to get to different points in the game. So basically, when I do God mode 2 warp drive, I set the RAM, I build 11 harvesters, set the minerals to 150, build an engineering bay, set it at 500, build the comms, and then set my minerals to 5,000, talk to Earth however many times I need to get past those storyline elements. And then if I is equal to current storyline length, whatever, build or open warp drive module. So this should take me to the warp drive. Maybe. Oh, okay. So for the $20,000 problem, what I ended up doing, what did I end up doing? I don't know. I don't know what I ended up doing. Why are you asking me these questions? Asking me questions I don't have the answers to. I'll show you. Always asking me questions I don't have answers to. Why? Why would you do this to me? Okay, ping Earth. No response. Warp drive. Warp drive installed. And then with the warp drive installed, I try to warp, and it says shouldn't leave yet. So now if I move, yep, Earth is requesting notification or communication. Go back to Earth. And now if I ping warp drive, yeah, head to Epsilon Eridani, sending blueprints. Now we've got our infrastructure module, which is 2,000. Let's do one more comms. No comms yet. And I'll explain how I handled the 20K problem once I verify this. So modules, warp drive, warp. Shouldn't leave yet. Use comms to ping Earth. All right, now if I try to warp, modules, warp drive, warp, shouldn't leave yet. Move, earth, modules, comms, ping earth. There we go. Did you engage your warp drive? You can't leave yet. It's going to take 12 years to get to Epsilon Eridani. We need enough solar farms to support Earth's population. Sweet. Okay. So this God mode thing helped. And yeah, let me explain how I handled. All right. So what did you end up thinking about for the 20K problem? All right. So what I did was, one, I slowed down the mineral collection. So you go to mine an asteroid. And when you hit 50 minerals, right, enough minerals to build harvester, which is good. So modules, construction, build harvester. So now what harvesters have to do so you see that the harvester's mining. So harvesters have a capacity now. So once they hit the capacity, they have to come back to the probe and then give the probe the minerals. So that slows down the collection process quite a bit. And so that helped. And then the thing is that you can still get up to a lot of minerals pretty quickly. And my answer actually was to just let it happen. So the warp drive, I lowered the cost to 5,000. And you bring up the comms. Contact with Earth will give you the blueprints for the warp drive. You build your warp drive, but as soon as you try to leave, you get a notification saying that, Epsilon Eridani is probably the best place to go to look for planets, but it's going to take you 12 years to get there, and we need food before you can go. And that was a way for me to kind of limit it. So then the next task is, okay, you have to build these solar farms before you can leave for Epsilon Eridani. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And the idea of the solar farms is that, okay, I got to build so many solar farms to help with the Earth population, which is fine. But at that point, I need to start exploring. Okay, well, what do I do with all these other planets, right? They're just, you don't do anything with them. So maybe for the solar farms, as far as getting like the materials needed to handle the solar farms, don't you need I read this somewhere, I swear. You need like urine? Like phosphorus is like a big deal for farms. And so it's like, okay, well, you need phosphorus. Where the hell are you going to get phosphorus for the farms? And where are you going to get all these other elements? So then that brings up the facet of exploring the other celestial bodies in the solar system to potentially get the different elements you need to construct a solar farm. So a solar farm the infrastructure itself, needs some arbitrary number of minerals. But then the specific food and seeds and whatnot have to be cultivated in some way. So that kind of forces the interaction with these other, celestial bodies. It's kind of where I'm looking at. Because I don't want it just to be about making your harvester count go up. And I want to do that, but at the same time, I don't want to, delay the exploration of like another solar system. So it's kind of gonna have to be a balancing act between, damn it, I was looking forward to warping out of the system, but now I can't because I have to take care of these stupid humans and build solar farms for them. And it's annoying. And I'm a robot and a probe who's immortal, so why do I even care about humans? But I have to. It's such a pain. So, trying to balance the actual escape into a different universe versus, a different solar system, and that passage of time, like it's 24 years. So how much food does a population of 20 million need to survive 20 years, 24 years? As far as the double underscores, it's just an indication that these are private functions, and that they shouldn't be called external to the class. So it's kind of like a recommendation. That's really all it is. So mruby doesn't have. Ruby has a private keyword. I don't necessarily like it. It's kind of more of like a recommendation. Maybe your function should be private. But yeah. So the double underscores is a way to do that. So the 20K problem is still there. Construction, build harvesters, engineering, construction, build harvesters. But yeah, the maybe I don't restrict the movement initially. I allow for the probe to travel to Epsilon Eridani first. You see the new solar system, and then you report back, and at that point, the solar farms becomes a requirement. I think I like that idea better. So you go to this other solar system. You've got your comms module. You find a habitable planet. And then you come back and say, I found a planet. And by the time you get back 24 years later, they're running out of food. And I think that's probably better. So if that's the case, then so select warp destination. I should really commit. Current storyline items. I don't care about the infrastructure module at this point. So we can head to Epsilon Eridani. So we'll hold tight till you get back. Good luck. And then the callback for this would be epsilon aridity unlocked at kernel.tick count. Of course, there's an exception. It's always a syntax error. Where's my goddamn syntax error? Right there. Okay. Engineering, upgrade RAM, build harvesters, comms module needs to be built. No game design document. I'm just throwing shit on the wall, seeing what happens. It's terrifying. Yep. Comm module available. Ping Earth. Comm module's working. $5,000 minerals for the warp drive. So I could potentially lower the cost for the warp drive also. But let's see the gathering rate. So, 20 probes with 20 or 20 probes goes pretty quick. And it looks cool. It's kind of satisfying, right? And while things are collecting, there could be narrative elements when you travel to different planets. Different asteroids could potentially have narrative elements in there. So there's potentially ideas around that stuff. And the asteroids themselves, they could have different minerals that they pull down. So this time doesn't necessarily have to be spent waiting for you to get enough for the warp drive. But I want to make sure that puts epsilon aridity unlocked. I want to make sure that occurs. I'll build one more probe. It's fine. I'll build 5 more probes. This is okay. And you'll notice that the progress of the harvester is a lot less now, right? They're not completely pulling in all the minerals from all the asteroids now, which is good. Almost there. I'm such a nerd with all the sci-fi stuff. All right, select warp destination. So if I say all right, so now modules, warp drive, warp. Wait, where the hell should I go? So now if you try move, there should be a notification that Earth wants contact. Yep, Earth is requesting contact. Move to Earth. Comms. Ping Earth. Warp drive online, please advise. Recommendation is to head to Epsilon Eridani. It'll take you 24 years to make a round trip. We'll hold tight till you get back. Good luck. All right. And I need to only print that once. Cool. So now I should be able to warp. So if I go to the warp drive and click warp, it doesn't bring up that error notification. So how will warping work? So when you warp, when you click that warp button, all your harvesters that you currently have need to be recalled so they can warp with you. This is totally going to work. All right, let's bring this over here. More state machine crap. This is definitely maybe going to work. Okay, so what will happen is when I click warp drive, yep, determining camera center for will warp is unhandled, which makes sense. I got to figure out what's going on with the stack serialization. Yep, so it says, yeah, determining camera center for will warp is unhandled. Okay, so now we're in a will warp state. Should be. Yep, we're in a will warp state. And calc movement, I should probably call that something else. Let me go to my harvester. So I'm going to recall my harvesters. And recalled will be false. So when I recall a harvester, what will happen? Its action will be set to recalled. All right. So if the harvester's action is recalled, this is breaking my brain. I want to move to definition, or move to destination, the probe's orbiting body. And when the destination is reached, if recalled, action equals docking. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't ask me dumb questions. Amir, do you know what you're doing? No. What makes you think that? Playing with state machines is kind of fun, but I just wish I could flick my wrist and have it just do its thing. This will totally work. That kind of worked. How did that just work? That's amazing. So if you're docking, so action is docking. I should reset the lerp acceleration. So now you dock to the probe. Cool. And then you're docked. Ayo. Was it really that easy? It's never that easy. All right, so let's go back to my repl and see. Let's see this entire thing in action. So, game.firstProbe action equals orbiting. Game.firstProbe harvesters each do h. H.recalled equals false. H.action orbiting. This is totally going to work too. It didn't work. Oh, I reset my game. Duh. I was like, what happened? Warp drive. Where the hell should I go? Comms. No response. Try again later. And watch this. Undo tree visualize. That's what I want. But I want to go back here. And now I can paste that. Boom. Emacs is the bomb. Devs using VS Code, they're like, "Oh, don't type after undoing, otherwise you won't be." It's like, no, I've got my entire undo tree right here. I can see exactly what I was doing, and then go back in time and replay things. It's great. All right, so warp drive, warp. That just worked. That's pretty freaking cool. All right, and then let's undo that. There they go. They're back to mining. Let's go to the harvester. Destination reached. I still want to set... I still want to set these values. Modules warp. And then if I destination at, maybe you have to do like a undocking or something. Do I expose this publicly anywhere? No. So warp again. All of them docked. And then they undock. It's pretty freaking cool. Yeah. Set it up to where the docking delay is a little bit slower. All right, everyone's docked. So what does that mean? Let's go to the prefab for the harvester. Now I'm just casually flexing. Oh, that's for the probe. I need to go to the harvester. And then go to the prefab for the harvester. So if action equal docked, one minus that will give me the alpha. Right? What the deuce? Ah, the multiplication of 255 is happening in the wrong place. It'd be cool to have the harvester stats under the RAM count so we can see what all of them are up to. Yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of, like when you zoom out and you have the theater of war, I want it to be fancy. What is A? 0. Good. All right. They are hidden. So let's undock. They go to move. Yeah, I want to have, if we zoom out, I want to have like instead of just words, have icons and stuff to give you all the statuses of all the things. Just cool crap on the screen kind of things. All right, so we go to warp. And they all faded out. Perfect. So everyone's docked. So now that everyone is docked, now what? If they're all docked, then I'll set the action to select destination. Select warp destination, I guess. All right, undock them all. And then I should get an exception about the camera center not knowing what to do with warp destination, which will be good. Camera center, select warp destination is unhandled, which is what I expected. So now I just got to figure out, how to show a solar system or a star system instead of just a solar system. How hard can that be? So I do have celestial bodies. Yep. Otherwise, if it's the warp destination, I'm going to look at my celestial bodies for the sun. And get its XY. Grrr. Oh, I called it Sol. It's not the sun, it's Sol. Good. And then in game.rb, so that is at 1/10 of a scale. What about 5%? 1%. How many AUs? This might be a GPT question. $600,000 AUs. This will not be at scale. Where is... Okay, so let's see. Epsilon Eurydice, images. Ah, my eyes. That hurts. That hurt. Quick. Someone with a lot of knowledge. Okay, cool. All right, Epsilon Eurydice is up and to the right. So maybe like right there. So what is that in pixels? What is that in pixels? So calc click Q. Will it even go this small? It will. So like right here. So that location is 70,399. Sure. Let's copy this value. This is fine. I just want to see if I can get this to render. And I'll make it the same size as the sun. And its X value will be 70,000. An even 70,000. Y value will be 40,000. I have a moment of existential dread. Like the distance, to get an actual scale of distance, I would need to have this. That distance would be 65,000 of these pixels away from the sun. Holy crap! Oh, that hurts my brain. So that's where epsilon Eridani would be. But this is not to scale. This is only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We'll say like 30. But it needs to be 660,000 and not 30. Just it's insane. That's just insane. That's absolutely insane. All right. Now let's see if I can get it to actually move there. So this is my select destination prefab, where I go through all the celestial bodies. I need to fix. Yeah, the name is horrible. I definitely need to fix that. That is some fancy. That is some fancying. Oh, Epsilon. So the way I would do that would be probably this. So just replace the entire word. So let's update our celestial bodies. All right. So that should be correct there. So select warp destination prefab. This is breaking my brain. Copy pasta. Love it. And this is going to have a lot of circles, maybe. Not too terrible. And then calc inputs. I'll have to limit it to just to the actual like stars themselves instead of all the things. But I want to see if I can get this working at least. That moved very fast. It's good enough. God. Did I already make it back? I didn't even see the movement. we'll move we are lerping at 10% of the distance until we reach that destination. What the heck? There we go. Holy shit, that's cool. Something isn't working right, though. Maybe. Because it's supposed to go to the center before moving to the specific location. And then it's supposed to hit the center of that location. Warp drive, warp. Like it's not doing the warp. Like it worked once. All the spelling errors. Okay, so this is kind of working, but we'll get it working better. All right, so spelling errors. Where are they? Let's see. Epsilon EP. Epsilon. Epsilon. Did I spell Ridney right? I'm sure I did. What did I break now? Inside of game. All right, move. That's good. Move to the sun. Modules. Warp. See, it should go to the center. Like the warp isn't... Why isn't the warp working anymore? Is it because... No, that should work. Select warp destination. Modules, warp. That's weird. The warp destination is not being set. I must have fucked something up. Let me commit. I'm doing a lot of crap. This won't be a clean commit. Okay, so trying to figure out warp drive. I'm going to take one more stab at this, and if not, then I'll potentially call it a night. Let's see. Let's go to our repl. All bugs are worthy bugs. Okay, so that worked. But I can't warp back. What the hell? Okay, so let's look at the prefab. And we want to print out... Well, I guess I can just put this on the game. Okay, it is definitely saying it's orbiting. It's just an extremely slow orbit. Select warp destination. And it just goes back to orbiting. Yes, warp module, but it kind of doesn't work. Let's try this again. The effect is cool when I got it working the first time. So we'll move. So the moving, I'm going to set this to 1%. I'm going to go to my repl, fast forward. Do my warp drive installed. Wait, where the hell should I go? Ping Earth. Warp drive is online, please advise. Recommendation is to head to Epsilon or Ridney. It'll take you 24 years to make a round trip. We'll hold tight till you get back. Good luck. Click warp. Warp drive. That 1% is annoying, but okay. So now we've warped and we're orbiting, which is great. But I can't warp back. Like I screwed something up. Wait. Okay, it warped back, which is good. And then movement should work also. There's the movement. Except movement, that 1% for movement to a local star is way too slow. And modules, warp drive, warp. And it just doesn't warp back. It's like I have to move before I attempt a warp itself. Yeah. So story elements are in place. Warp drive is kind of working. And the effect is cool. So select warp destination. So this probably needs to be will warp move instead of will move. And I want to, instead of going to the celestial... Oh, is it because I hard-coded soul somewhere? Yes, that's the problem. The warp center is always set to soul as opposed to the specific star system I'm at. Maybe. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've already told you this. I'm hard coding soul right now. And then warp moving. Do you like all this copy pasta? K Fisher? It's awesome, isn't it? And then when the destination is reached, the action should go to orbiting. Delicious, delicious copy pasta. It's great. Okay, so let's say I'm over here. And I'm just back to orbiting. It's like, what the deuce? Select warp destination. And it just goes back to orbiting. That's so here's the select warp destination. Hovered celestial body. All right, let's try this again. Modules, warp. So that's Sol. And that's Epsilon Eridani. Modules, warp drive, warp. Epsilon Eridani. So I click, and then it goes back to orbiting. Is it because... No, I set the destination ID. Destination reached. I don't set the destination to nil. I think that might be what I'm missing. All right, so let's try this again. Modules, warp drive, warp. Move. Move here. It's all in the sample apps. I swear, I took all these from the sample apps. I promise. The easing stuff that you're seeing is all from the there's a easing lerping camera sample. I just copied that code. Center camera, or camera center. Will warp move. Code by sample attitude. That's how it is. That's exactly how we should do it. Warp moving. Wait, did I already have will warp? Okay, warp moving is the next thing. Warp moving will be the probe center. Where'd the probe go? Okay, there it is. And if I go back to my game, calc camera, warp moving. So yeah, if the previous action is moving or warp moving. Let's try this again. Modules, warp drive, warp. I can only warp that way right now because I've hard-coded Sol. Let's see if we can get rid of the Sol hard coding. Select warp destination. We'll keep that as the orbiting body for now. So we won't transfer to the sun. We won't transfer to the primary star yet. Move. You can't move because there's only one. That's better. What I probably want is this. Maybe. What is the current action? Orbiting. All right. Let's try again. Better. What about 10%? It's getting nicer. 0.15. Modules. Warp. I mean, I had it set to 25. Let's see if 25 looks good. Yeah, 0.25 is not terrible. The reaching of the destination is brutal. That 1% LORP is too small. Yeah, the 0.25 is not terrible. Yeah, anytime I'm doing a new prototype and I'm like, how do I do X, Y, and Z? And if I spend too much time on it and it's like for like a specific genre, immediately make a sample app for it. It just makes sense to do that. And then I want in my REPL, I want to undock my probes. There we go. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you saw the new. Yeah. All the probes start. They'll do their mining, and then after they do the mine, they'll go in and return the minerals to the main probe. So kind of slowing down that aspect of it. Upgrade RAM. RAM costs 500. Let's set the minerals to 2,000. Build more harvesters. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. So you've got all the harvesters mining. Yeah, they have a bit of their own life now. And then when I actually initiate the warp, what happens is that all the harvesters get recalled. So then after everyone's docked, then you get into the select destination. And then you warp to the new location, and then once you're over there, you'll be able to the probes will undock and do their thing. But yeah, there you have it. There's kind of a warp drive feel. So then Epsilon Eridani needs to have their own star system and stuff. The celestial bodies, I'm going to have to set it up to where, sorry if there's sound in the background. Wow, that was really loud. Sorry. But yeah, I need the celestial bodies. Everything's in a single celestial body right now. Because I have Sol, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune. I forgot Uranus. Uranus. And then Epsilon Eridani is 70,000 pixels and 40,000 pixels up and to the right. Hey, Jamie, I can hear you on the screen. So, yeah, 70,000 pixels. That's really, really far. And everything's in the same solar system right now, so I need to do some refactoring so that each solar system has their own specific central star. But yeah, warp drive kind of working. I think it's a good place to stop. And you start thinking about refactor. Who wants to refactor? It's fine. It's not that... Look, everything's fine. There's no duplication anywhere. There's no duplication in the selection prefab or the selection warp destination. It's totally fine. But yeah, I do need a refactor. It'll be interesting to see. Let me see how many lines of code I actually have. So 1,700 lines of code for what you've seen so far. And I feel like a bunch of it is, I won't say a bunch of it is data, but quite a bit of it is just kind of like data structures. Camera was pulled from a sample app. Game RB. My state information is from here. So this is all data. So that's 200 lines of data right there. And then probe all the menu items, all the menu item definitions. I've got to generate, yeah. That's data, that's data, that's data, 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 data. So, not a terrible amount of code. Yeah, as far as refactoring, pulling out all the prefabs that I've created, I have multiple definitions of circle in a few places. Consolidation of like some of these LORPing constructs is worth doing. Not terrible though. All the storyline is mostly data. Not a terrible amount of code. It'd be interesting to see like yeah, the menu generation is improved. I did that refactoring offline. But yeah, this is one of those things where I would love to see like an apples to apples comparison in another engine, saying, okay, this is the functionality that I have right now. Show me how much code it would be to do it in Engine X. Not Engine X, that's a Engine X. The warping is fun. It's a nice little effect. I can start adding particles and stuff there too. Juicing and stuff will eventually come. I just want to get this main game loop in play and see if it holds water over time. Oh gosh. Write this entire thing in fast CGI. That'd be terrifying. Is the Engine X configuration, is that even Turing complete? It might be. Okay, we're getting into ridiculous topics. I think it's time to stop. But yeah, I'll do some refactoring offline. I won't be streaming for at least a couple of days. Tuesday will be the earliest that I come back to the streaming. And yeah, just think of where to take it from here. I guess I'm 72 hours into the 240 hour, or not 72 hours. I've done 3 days of work on this. About 3 days of work on this. And my cutoff is 240 hours of work. So 3 times 8, 24. I'm 10% into my stuff. And at 240, I need to decide if this is going to ship or not. Oh well, we'll see how it goes. Y'all have a good one.